Hi everybody, Dan Illman along with Daily Racing Form NYRA analyst Mike Beer taking a look at Belmont Stakes new shooter Seahenge. Aidan O'Brien took a little bit of a beating in the Kentucky Derby. Mendelssohn, no match for. Justify finished far behind. O'Brien, you would have thought, would have just tucked his tail between his legs and went back to Europe, but no! He's bringing Seahenge, a horse that's lived in Mendelssohn's shadow throughout his career, back for more despite sort of an even effort over a wet track in the Pat Day Mile. We thought that Seahenge was the kind of horse that when you look at him, he wants to go 1.5 miles. He's a big scopy horse. Where's his race? Yeah, well, he doesn't have one yet. I mean, we do have a video of his group win relatively early on in his career. This is his third career start, going 7 furlongs. He wins the Group 2 Champagne Stakes. So this, I guess, at least at this point of his career, is sort of his defining win. This was a good performance. He's going to split horses here and get up at the end here. I was with you. I felt like he was a horse who probably wanted more distance. So far, that has not been the case, but you know, he's only run twice on dirt, and I would just say that, you know, both times, if you wanted to make, this all comes down to whether you want to make excuses for him. Both times, you could make excuses for him if you wanted to. And that was the question I was going to ask. Could you argue he's a little bit dirtied up? Let's go back to his last 4 races. He took on Saxon Warrior, who a lot of people are thinking English Triple Crown this year on turf in the Racing Post Trophy. Then the 32 Red against Mendelssohn. It was his first start of the year. And then, of course, in the UAE Derby, the track didn't play to his favor. And in the Pat Day Mile, he just caught a wet track in a distance that was a little too short for him. My issue with Seahenge is fairly simple. He's a terrible gate horse that is likely to be last going into the first turn. And I'm just not sure how he's passing all of these. Yeah, that's exactly the way I would look at him as well. Because I was with you. You know, his 32 Red, the synthetic race, that wasn't a terrible performance. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible, but he did break slowly in that race. You know, the UAE Derby, I guess you just sort of pass for him on that inside speed favoring track where he's, you know, trying to come from last. It's not going to happen. And then in the sloppy track last time, I mean, you know, it was interesting to go back and watch the replay of that because he got outrun early, as he always does. He actually worked his way in. He never looked like he was going to win, but he worked his way into a position in the stretch where he felt like, well, he could get 3rd or 4th in this race. And then he just totally stopped running in like the last 16th of a mile or so. I mean, he was going up and down and just, it looked like he wanted to fall down at the stretch. I don't know what happened there. Maybe it was the wet track. But for a little while there, he actually made a little bit of a run in that race. I don't think we should hold those dirt races against him, especially when we look at his pedigree. He's by Scat Daddy. He's obviously having a big season, the sire of Justify. And while his half-brother Urban Bourbon was a graded stakes winner on the turf, this Dam was a stakes winner going 7 furlongs on the dirt. And he's a half-to-international star who was a nice dirt horse and DC Dancer, who was sort of a mid-Atlantic dirt sprinter. So there's some dirt pedigree. You've got some all-world connections. It's just a slow breaker that's going to have to probably overcome a lot in a horse like Justify. That's Seahenge, one of the Belmont new shooters taking on Justify in the Belmont Stakes.